Kuzuzambo, a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program. I'm Pukgen. Our top stories this week: glaciers in the Hindu Kush Himalaya region melting at a faster rate. 15 private schools agree to take in students into class 11 on reduced fees. And 3 arrested for attempting to smuggle gold at the Paro International Airport. In what is an alarming report, over 30% of glaciers in the Hindu Kush Himalaya region could melt by the end of this century. A comprehensive study of the Hindu Kush Himalaya region, also known as the world's third pole by the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, or ICMOD, revealed recently. The Hindu Kush Himalaya is one of the greatest mountain systems in the world, covering 8 countries, including Bhutan.
They contain 40% of the world's fresh water, the tallest mountains on Earth, home to 55,000 glaciers, and the source of 7 of Asia's greatest rivers. But our most precious resource is disappearing one drop at a time. The region's glaciers are a critical water source to some 240 million mountain dwellers and the 1.65 billion others living in the river valleys below. Even the most ambitious Paris Agreement goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees by the end of this century wouldn't be enough, as the Hindu Kush Himalaya region would be 0.7 degrees warmer than the global average.
If it fails, me that we continue business as usual scenario, right? So we continue with what we have been doing. That will end up with 2/3 of the glaciers, around 64% of the glacier melting down and disappearing.
The Hindu Kush Himalaya assessment is the first and most authoritative study of its kind to provide an assessment of one of the world's most significant yet often overlooked mountain regions.
We would like to make it not only one-time assessment, we also call it assessment monitoring. So we'll keep track of the changes, right? So after some time, hopefully, maybe 5 years time, we'll come up with another assessment, which will also give us, what has been the changes.
The study also found that there has been a significant increase in the number of rainy days and extreme rain events recorded over the western Himalaya. In the eastern Himalaya, the total amount of rain did not change much and the number of rainy days decreased, which meant a higher amount of rainfall in a short period of time. What is more alarming for Bhutan is that the central Himalayan range, where Bhutan lies, will see a rise in temperature higher than the Hindu Kush Himalaya region average. Sharab Doji, PBS News.
Social stigma and myths surrounding epilepsy is a challenge to treating the illness. Epilepsy, as psychiatrists describe, is a brain malfunction that can manifest in various forms, seizures and salivation being the most common. Lack of awareness and patients' poor compliance to proper medical treatment are some other challenges in its treatment. 34-year-old Monmaya Gurung from Galifu first experienced an epilepsy seizure in 2011. But it was only a year later that she was diagnosed with the illness and started receiving treatment. For Monmaya, as an epilepsy patient, social stigma and myths were never barriers to seeking medical help. But she adds that there are many others who do not feel the same.
During one of the attacks, I laid unconscious for almost 5 minutes. One of my 2 friends who were there went to get help. The other friend, for some reason, did not want to touch me. Maybe she was scared that the illness is contagious.
Dr. Senchu, a psychiatrist with the National Referral Hospital, said people often associate a lot of myths and beliefs with the illness, delaying medical interventions.
They think that they go to many other places like astrologers and amas and shamans and do all sorts of things. So it takes a long time for them to even accept that they have an illness like that. They think that On an auspicious day, Namgol or Sijamal or those auspicious days, people get epilepsy. They think like that. They think that if you eat pork and fish and eggs, you get epilepsy. And many people would tell you on your face, yes, I get it, doctor. Yesterday I ate pork and I have epilepsy.
Beside myths, the bigger challenge in combating the illness is the social stigma people attach to it.
I know a child who has epilepsy. She used to salivate besides losing consciousness. I told her parents to take her to the hospital, but they refused. Even the mother suffers from the same illness. They may be thinking it will get better with time, or maybe they are scared or embarrassed. Similarly, I told an epilepsy patient from my village to go see a doctor. She did, and she is doing fine now. People in the village do not believe in seeking medical treatment. They rather perform religious rituals.
I have heard stories, or not stories, I have actually had patients whose wives divorced them on the grounds of having epilepsy, worried that now he might spread the epilepsy to her and the children and her family. I had a couple of cases, maybe there were other reasons for divorce, but they certainly use epilepsy as a means for divorce. And that is very sad, because epilepsy is not contagious. It doesn't spread through any contact. So I think we have to be very clear about this. So one of the reasons why people don't come out of the house is because they don't want other people to know that they're having epilepsy because of the stigma.
Then there is a lack of awareness about the disease and its treatment, resulting in patients' poor compliance to the required medical treatment.
When they come to the hospital, they don't realize that this is a very long-term treatment, at least 3 years treatment. The treatment is 3 years. Even if you have no more seizures, even if your medicine controls the seizure, they have to still take it 3 years, because we have to make our brain stabilize, otherwise, electrical thing. So it's a very big challenge for our patients to continue medicine when the seizure has actually stopped. They think they are cured.
Globally, it is estimated that at least 1 among 100 people would have epilepsy. So going by this figure, Dr. Sencho says in Bhutan, at least 7,000 people would have the sickness. But unfortunately, only around 1,000 came to seek medical help. The highest number of new epilepsy cases registered with the psychiatric ward at the National Referral Hospital was in 2012 at 145. The hospital registered 68 new cases of epilepsy in 2017. This form of illness mostly occurs to young people. In most cases, the cause of the illness is not known. Dr. Sencho said it can be due to complications during delivery or congenital problems in young people. For the elderly, causes of epilepsy could be infections and trauma.
The uncertainty of when you get this seizure, you never know. And when you get it, you lose your consciousness. It's almost virtually dying, because you don't know where you will land up. You could be in the fire, you can be in the water, you can fall from heights. If you're driving, you can have a motor vehicle accident. Very, very devastating.
For now, Dr. Sencho believes creating awareness through the media, social media and public demonstration as the only possible ways to reduce the treatment gap and encourage social acceptance of the illness. The illness also received global attention, with the World Health Organization launching a program on reducing treatment gap for epilepsy in 2012. It is to expand the skills of healthcare providers to diagnose, treat and follow up with people with epilepsy. Pup Game for BBS News. It has been found that women are reluctant to take up traditional painting. This is because of the general belief that women are impure because of their menstruation. It's also evident from minimal enrollment of girls in this course at the National Institute of Zorichusum in Thimphu.
Of almost 180 trainees at the institute, 78 are learning traditional painting, but out of that, only 3 of them are female. Since traditional painting has more to do with religious paintings, they said they feel hesitant. They feel they might contaminate the sanctity of the paintings due to their monthly discharge. Since painting is the basic for all 13 arts and crafts, it is one of the highly paid professions today. However, women say they are not comfortable taking up the painting course. Most of them are learning embroidery, weaving and tailoring at the moment.
Painters do not have a fixed working place. Sometimes we have to paint homes, and sometimes we have to paint inside temples and monasteries. We also have to paint gyeonggangs. In such situations, it's not convenient for us.
Many girls are not coming forward because they think that we might make the art impure. But for me, even if you're on a period, I feel that there is nothing to worry about. We can keep ourselves clean and proceed with what you love to do. I don't see any difference.
From the religious point of view, it is perceived that we are impure. But I feel we should break this barrier. I would like to encourage my friends to take up the course if you are interested.
Apart from finding it difficult to carry out the painting works, they shared that they are also skeptical because of past beliefs.
In the past, paintings were done only by lamps and monks. But with changing time, when we have to do it today, I think girls are doubtful and therefore are not taking interest in it. When it comes to their monthly discharge, I feel that they can take off days from work and continue. I see no difference.
The other reason is they feel that they are not capable enough to take up such a profession like men. Because painting also involves manual work such as house painting that requires physical strength. But the main reason is because their monthly period.
To seek answers, we interviewed the principal of Tango Dorden Tashitang Buddhist University in Thimphu. According to Khenpo Gyunjang Thinle, besides the paintings of protective deities, there is no such belief or restrictions on women carrying out traditional paintings.
Besides the Thangka painting of for protective deities, women can paint other statues and murals even if they are on their period. With regard to entering Gyeonggas, they are restricted because of their periods, but there is an alternative for that. You can paint it at your home and then send it back. Therefore, I would encourage girls to take part in it.
When it comes to work, they are all capable. They also perform like men. When it comes to painting, there is a huge employment potential. Some foreigners also demand female painters, but we are not able to meet their demand. I always encourage girls to come forward and take part because we only have a handful of women painters in the country today.
The painting course at the institute includes learning to paint thangkas, murals, statues and houses. The two national Zori Chusum institutes offer trainings on painting, sculpting and wood carving among several others. This is Sonam Chodin for BBS News.
15 private schools from across the country have agreed to accept students in class 11 on reduced fees, and all the expenses are to be borne by the government. The Education Minister at a Friday meet session said the rate has been negotiated at 50,000 ngatum for boarding students and 30,000 for day scholars.
Of the 12,033 students who passed the Class 10 examinations, the government high schools will absorb 7,808 students. The remaining 4,225 students will be admitted in private high schools with full scholarship from the government. And so far, of the 21 private high schools in the country, 15 of them have agreed to discount their fees. 2,060 students will be admitted as boarders and 1,690 students as day scholar in these 15 schools. Day shared placement of the remaining 475 students will be decided later.
We have kept 475 as a leeway bejamidi. Leeway bejamidi. The Nacha Katolidi full scholarship, full scholarship. But then there were equity then. There were 4-5 proprietors. They would also like to participate. Kongyama therefore participate with data. The equality they provide in their schools of different ne khoragi justify do ani bending achi tube ani chi jada ge geji kadim chi if they are not able to the have ma cholera khongi bema chu bachin our students should not feel any benmio we will be absorbing back.
The Prime Minister said they equally respect the other 6 private schools who did not agree to the discussed rate.
When we say some schools didn't agree, we do not mean that they are business minded, because I told them, and we have to understand the fact that some schools have invested more in infrastructure, some schools are paying higher for quality teachers, some schools are situated in the heart of the city, some are in peripheries in other districts. So overall cost disparity is mainly based on their investment, capital investment in the business.
The Prime Minister added, the students' eligibility to get boarding facilities will be decided by the respective principals and Songkhak education officers based on economic background of the students. The rest will be given choices to select the school from the schools government has listed. The Prime Minister also said doing away with cut-off point will not hamper the quality of education, as quality is maintained by teacher-student ratio and teachers' quality, for which the government has allocated separate funds for professional development. The government says they plan to transform the education system from summative to formative is another initiative to improve education quality. Giledim for BBS News.
The confusion over placement of class 11 students in private schools is put to rest. The Education Ministry published the details on their website and Facebook page, Sherik Bhutan. Students qualified for government scholarship in private schools and their parents were confused with no clear instructions.
The Education Ministry has finally completed the task of placing class 11 students in respective private schools. With Jumpal Higher Secondary School willing to take in students, now there are 16 private schools.
We have been getting lots of calls from the students as well as from the parents. They are not supposed to panic. The plan was to do the placement from the ministry and then provide it on the ministry's website, and then they are supposed to read that whatever the placement plan that the ministry has made. From this plan, they know that where they are placed, which school they are supposed to go, and then after knowing the placement center, then they are supposed to go to that school and then register and then follow the due process, admission process of that the respective schools.
4,225 class 11 students have been placed in 16 private schools.
First of all, to ensure that the students need not to travel and then they need not panic to find a place. We considered the region from where they come from. We wanted to ensure regional balance so that children coming from the east find a place in the east, children coming from the south find a place in the east, south, and then of course if there are some who really need to be moved, then we also considered all those factors.
Admission will be open till 20th of this month. The government is paying 50,000 yatam each for border students and 30,000 for day scholars in private schools. Students can also choose the other private schools besides the 16 schools, but the government will pay only 30,000 yatam. Kiletem for BBS News.
Demand for sand in the country has been increasing by the year. From 80 truckloads per day in 2007, demands have gone up to 170 truckloads as per latest records. Construction boom in the country since 2009 and several hydropower projects being set up are the main reasons for this increase.
Since the nationalization or state ownership of sand supply in 2007, the Natural Resources Development Corporation Limited has witnessed increasing sand demand. NRDCL in Ondifodrong, the highest supply of sand in the country, has been mobilizing all its resources to meet up with the increasing demand.
It has gone up to more than 43,000 truckloads in a year. But the demand is still increasing. This 43,000 truckloads that we have supplied during December was not enough, in fact. So it's likely to grow, even with the stock of sand that you see in our stockyard, unlike in the previous years, it might not last.
To ease pressure in Ongdi Punakha region, NRDCL recently set up a new sand quarry at Dujagang in Dagana. It will cater to sand demands from Tirang Dagana regions. This year, NRDCL also stockpiled over 56,000 cubic meters of sand, which is the highest so far. NRDCL supplies both sand extracted from the surface and dredged sand from the river. At present, there are 7 dredging machines to extract sand. The corporation's regional manager adds, despite the slight increase in sand deposits every year, due to continuous extraction, the surface has become loose and most of the sand is washed away downstream. The sand extraction season begins from first week of November and continues till mid of March. During the monsoon, the river beds are submerged with water. However, even during the lean season, the supply is around 70 to 80 truckloads per day. The present sand price per truckload is Newton 1,759 for the sand from stock and Newton 2,190 for dredged sand. For Kamal Kharkar in Punakha, Chonitama for BBS News.
Bhutan recorded the lowest average annual inflation rate in 2018 at 2.69%. This means that 2018 saw the slowest increase in the prices of goods and services since records were maintained in 2004 by the National Statistics Bureau. Meanwhile, for December last year, increasing food prices meant the year-on-year inflation rate reached 3.13%, an increase of 0.04 percentage points compared to November 2018.
Despite fuel prices reaching record highs in September and October last year, it had little effect on the speed at which the prices of goods and services grew. Since 2012, when Bhutan recorded the highest average annual inflation rate at 10.92%, the rate has been decreasing except for 2017, when the annual inflation rate rose by more than 1%. On the other hand, December's year-on inflation rate of 3.13% is one of the highest for 2018, with only March seeing a higher rate. December's increase was mostly attributed to the increase in fuel prices. Local goods and services recorded a higher increase compared to imported goods and services. Food prices recorded a higher increase for both local and imported goods compared to the non-food group, which increased by 2.65% for both. However, local food prices increased by 4.26% as compared to 3.55% for imported food prices. Among food items, vegetables recorded the highest rate of increase in December at 3.22% from the previous month. Cost of meat also saw an increase of close to 1%. The purchasing power of 100 Newton as of December 2018 is equal to only 73 Newton as of December 2012. The purchasing power of Newton has decreased by 3.04% in the past 12 months due to the price rise in the economy. The January inflation rate is yet to be published. Sharab Doji, PBS News.
More than 3 kilograms of gold have been seized in 3 separate cases by customs officials at Paro International Airport. 3 passengers, 2 women and a man are under police custody.
Customs officials detected 3 separate cases of gold smuggling at Paro Airport on 30th January and 1st February. More than 3 kilograms of gold worth almost 9 million were seized. On 30th January, a woman who had flown in from Bangkok was caught carrying gold biscuits weighing more than 2 kilograms. On 1st February at around 7 a.m., a female was arrested with 3 gold bangles weighing 600 grams. And at around 10 a.m., another man was caught with 2 gold bangles weighing 400 grams. The two had also flown in from Bangkok. All 3 operate businesses in Thimphu. According to our sources, customs officials caught the suspects on suspicious behavior and risk profiling. As per the custom rules and regulations, gold in any form which is in excess of 50 grams requires permit and is subject to levy of customs duty. For Sangeet Paro, Kilitim, PBS News.
Attempts to smuggle banned vegetables into the country still remains frequent. More than 1,300 kilograms of banned vegetables were seized by Bafra officials in Phinsuling recently. Fines levied on offenders caught at Rinchinding checkpost reached almost 2 million ngatam.
4 DCM trucks and 2 boleros were caught trying to smuggle chilies, beans and cauliflower grown in India into the country. The banned vegetables were discovered hidden inside baskets with other vegetables placed on top of them. Chilies, beans and cauliflower have been banned in the country since 2016 after Bhutan Agriculture and Food Regulatory Authority found the vegetables to contain chemicals beyond the permissible level. But attempts to bring these vegetables into the country illegally have been frequent. Last month, Bafra fined more than 7 million ngultram for such offences.
Despite the penalty was quite heavy, still they import the banned vegetables. So I request general public that we have no option than penalizing if we encounter the banned vegetables, and we are continuously monitoring the gates 24 hours, meaning gates 24 hours, and keep on checking, inspecting the vehicles.
The vegetables were confiscated and disposed. Every time Bafra seizes these vegetables, they also take a sample and carry out tests to check their chemical content. For Sonam Penjo in Phinsuling, Yisha Gelson, BBS News.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. Thank you for your time.